Hello you beautiful people, I hope you all are having an amazing, beautiful day, and in this video, I want to go over something that I've been seeing a lot in the comment section since I've uploaded a few 100 stat videos for pretty much each class. By the way, if you haven't seen them, you need to check them out, you beautiful people. They are something else. I will put them in the description. They're a lot of fun, and honestly, it took me a lot of time to make these stats even possible on all of my classes, and that is precisely what I want to talk about in depth in this video. So a lot of people have been asking me a lot of questions about these builds, and even though I do go over the main points in the 100 stat videos on how to achieve them and so on and so forth, in this one we're gonna go a bit more in depth. We're gonna talk about armor pieces in general. We're gonna talk about what kind of stats are enough to make double 100 stats possible, and of course triple 100 stats possible, what mods we need, and pretty much everything. I'm gonna take an armor piece, I'm gonna masterwork it, and we're just gonna go through the process step by step, and I will try to make this as clear and as easy as possible. If you're a new Destiny 2 player or if you're a returning player, the goal of this video is to make the whole process for you more understandable, clear, and easier at the end. If you enjoyed the video, a like and a sub is very appreciated, and it helps me out a lot. More and more content is on the way. We're talking PvP builds, PvE builds, and above all, if you want to see how we pierce skulls with some void arrows and you see the guardians just run away in fear, if you're looking for some extreme precision with those arrow shots, trust me, you don't want to miss it. Since we have a lot to talk about, this video might be a long one, so I'm gonna put up time marks on the screen right now, so that way you can skip to the specific information you need right away. Keep in mind, the first part, as it says, is really basic information that can be useful for new and returning players. However, if you are a more experienced player, you can skip to the second part. Okay, now let's get into it, talk about these stats and how it's absolutely possible to achieve these builds. I'm sorry guys, I can't control them, they have a mind of their own. First, let's start with the basics. Armor pieces can come in 3 energies, right? Arc, Solar, and Void. Depending on which you pick, you will get the specific mods that you can only use with this energy. For example, this armor piece right here is Arc. Remember, you can change it to Solar, to Void. So let's say you pick an Arc armor piece. When you go to your mod section, you will see that there are some mods, for example, bow mods, machine gun mods, pulse rifle mods that go specifically on armor pieces that are Arc. Now, if this was Solar, you would not be able to equip these mods because the Solar ones have different kind of mods that you can equip on them. For example, this chest piece right here is Solar, right? If you go into the mod slots, as you can see, there is no bow mods or shotgun mods. These are totally different. You have linear fusion rifle, you have auto rifle, and so on. Depending on which energy your armor piece is, will give you the ability to equip different mods. Now, there are some mods that are universal, so you can use them on any kind of armor piece. For now, let's take a look at these right here. We have Discipline, Strength, Intellect, Mobility, Recovery, and then also Resilience. So what do these do? When you equip a Discipline mod, you get a +10, and that decreases the time needed to regenerate your grenade. Then you have Strength. This helps your melee regenerate faster. Intellect for your super, Mobility for your movement. In Hunter's case, the class ability, the dodge. So if you have this at 100, you will be dodging every 9 seconds. Then we have Recovery. For example, if you get damaged, your health will start regenerating way faster than normal if you have this stat at 100. Also keep in mind, Recovery is not only good for health regeneration, but if you are a warlock, it also helps your class ability regeneration. So you'll be able to use those rifts way more often if you have Recovery at 100 on your warlock. And then we have Resilience. For Titans, the Resilience helps the class ability cooldown. So you will be able to put down your shields, or should I say your barriers, every 14 seconds if you have this maxed out, which is just insane. And not only that, but Resilience does add to your survivability, especially if you're a PvP player. Another thing worth mentioning is that once masterworked, every armor piece has 10 energy slots, and each mod you equip takes a different amount of energy. For example, if I wanted to equip discipline right here, it takes 3 slots. If I wanted to equip recovery, it takes 4 slots. So that's something you have to keep in mind. When it comes purely to stats, once you hit 100, anything above doesn't make any difference. Now let's take a look at the stats on my hunter right now. We have double 100 stats. That would be discipline and recovery. Now, as you understand, these were the stats that I chose to get to 100. Of course, if you want to have 100 intellect and let's say 100 recovery, those are the 2 stats you want to focus on. Now let's see what kind of armor pieces are needed in order to get double 100 stats. And this is absolutely possible. It is not like super hard or anything. You don't need god rolls, and we're going to take a look at that right now. Let's take a look at this armor piece right here. These gloves. So right here, I have 22 intellect and 13 recovery. Let's say I wanted to have 100 intellect and 100 recovery. Then this armor piece would be good for me. The base stat is only 56. It's not 62, 65, 67. It's simply not needed. And this is why. If we look at these stats right now on these gloves, we have 13 recovery and 22 intellect. However, when we add the recovery mod, that will add a plus 10, which will bring us to 23 recovery and 22 intellect. But once we masterwork it, the stats will get higher than that. Before I start masterworking this armor piece, I want to show you a few ways you can get materials you need for masterworking. If you go to the Gunsmith Banshee, you can pick up his weekly bounties that give you the upgrade modules. Now you can also do the dailies, which will give you enhancement cores. To hit level 10 on your masterwork, you're definitely gonna need some ascendant shards, and you're gonna need prisms also. Now you can buy the ascendant shards with some prisms, but in order to buy a prism, you need 10 enhancement cores, which is definitely not worth it. If you're lacking prisms, the best way is to do the 1030 Nightfalls. And the reason I say 1030 is because you also have a chance at an ascendant shards. And when you're trying to get these double 100 or triple 100 builds, trust me, you're gonna need a lot of these materials. What I also like to do in order to get some cores and prisms is the dungeon on the moon. When you get to the final boss and beat him, you will get a fully masterworked armor piece. You can do this 1 time per character every week. The great thing is it is a pinnacle and it can drop with amazing perks and it's masterworked, right? But let's say if it doesn't, you can always dismantle it and get a lot of materials. Now I'm gonna go ahead and masterwork this, and that way you'll get a better idea how all of this works. So as you see, we're starting at 56. Now we're gonna go in here and start masterworking this. Just throw in some materials. 1 core, then it asks for 2, and then it's enhancement prisms pretty much. Now look at that, look at those stats right there. When you masterwork, every stat goes up by 2. So your mobility was 7, it goes up to 9, your resilience was 6, it goes up to 8, and so on. So pretty much what this does is, if you're able to masterwork all of the pieces, right, as you can see right here, you get a plus 10 on every stat. That is because you have 5 armor pieces and each one gets a plus 2 on every stat once masterworked. Okay, now let's finish this masterwork real quick. As you see, as soon as we masterworked it, the total stat, the base stat, went to 68 from 56. Now some people, when they see these masterworked pieces, they're like, oh, but your base stat is 68, that's so high. But you get the point. When it dropped, it was only 56. We talked about the universal mods, right? So look at it right now. We have 15 recovery and 24 intellect. However, if I go into the mod slot and equip a recovery mod, as you will see right here, the recovery jumps all the way up to 25 and intellect is at 24. So this is a really, really good armor piece if I'm trying to hit 100 intellect and 100 recovery. Because remember, you have 3 more armor pieces where you can get stats that are around the same, and then you also have the class item to get another plus 10 with an universal mod on whichever stat you're missing. Also remember, the combination of stats doesn't always necessarily have to be close to each other. For example, it doesn't have to drop with 20 recovery and 20 discipline per armor piece. What can happen is one armor piece, for example, the gloves, has 10 recovery and let's say 27 discipline, right? And then you get another armor piece that has 10 discipline and 27 recovery, and they'll just fill in for each other. So this is gonna take some time. You need to sit down, count stuff. You got to figure out which one is enough, which one isn't, and just make it work. And after you're sure that the armor pieces you have will get you the 100 stats that you need, then just throw in the materials, right? You don't really need like super high stats. Is it good if you get really high base stats with the stats you need? Of course, like that's the perfect case scenario. If you, let's say, get an armor drop that is a 64 base stat, it's insane, right? And then if you're lucky and on the same armor piece you have, let's say, recovery and discipline, if that's what you're looking for, at like 22 and 22, that's amazing. Like that's a huge jump to success right there, and you'll pretty much need 1 or 2 more armor pieces that are decent and you'll get double 100 stats. But is it necessary? No, it's not. You can make this work with armor pieces anything around 54. Now let's move on and talk about how it's possible to actually get these armor pieces. Honestly, the best way, of course, would be the pinnacle activities, as they tend to drop with way higher base stats. However, there are many other sources where you can get these armor pieces with the roles you want. For example, if you have some Vanguard or Crucible tokens, you can throw them in, get some packages, and hopefully you get the role you need. That's how I got a few of my armor pieces with exactly the roles I needed. Also, another great way to get some really good armor pieces with high roles is Iron Banner if it's active. I'm telling you guys, Saladin is being really cool. His armor pieces are pretty good. Another great source of armor pieces that have higher base stats is, of course, world drops. So while you're out there in the wild, you beautiful people, don't just delete everything you get, because you might be deleting something very special. I did mention this when I was talking about how I like to farm materials, but the dungeon on the moon is also another great source for really good armor pieces, and they're the only source that give you fully masterworked armor pieces. So you definitely want to be doing that every week, and hopefully you get a perfect roll, and at the same time it's masterworked. I mean, if your RNG is on a completely different level like mine, then that is absolutely possible. If you get lucky, you can get the right armor pieces from the Crucible, from the strikes. So you really need to stop deleting those armor pieces without even looking at them. Now, when it comes to exotics, in my opinion, the 1030 Master Nightfall is the best source. The other day, I did like 5 runs, got 4 exotics with some really nice rolls. So if you're looking for some beautiful exotics, get your overpowered team ready, do those quick runs, and get those amazing rolls. So we went over the basics of armor pieces and mods. We talked about what kind of stats we need to focus on. As mentioned, we do not need god rolls in order to make this work. We also went over the best ways to get these armor pieces, both for legendaries and exotics. We also went over the fact that masterworking is very important. And now let's say you have these double 100 builds going. How do we get to triple hundreds? Triple 100 stats. Yes, you heard me right. There is one specific thing that we need, and that is a mod. On every legendary armor piece, there is a slot at the end that lets you equip the seasonal mods right here. So every season has a different kind of mod, and they introduce new kind of combinations, setups, builds, really fun. But the one we need in order to hit triple 100 stats is this mod right here, Powerful Friends. Now, as you can see, this is an arc mod, which means that it only can be equipped on a arc armor piece. And in order to have this, you had to play the previous season, the Season of Dawn. Currently, you cannot get this mod, unfortunately. So if you don't have this, let's hope that Banshee at some point sells it, the gunsmith, because he does sell some mods from the previous season. Maybe this also falls into the rotation. I'm not sure though, but let's just stay positive and hope he brings it one day. Now, for the people that do have Powerful Friends,
you have the ultimate mod. One mod to rule them all. One mod to find them. One mod to bring them all, and in darkness bind them.
Okay, I apologize. I realize this is not Lord of the Rings, but I just love that movie too much. So let's just get back to the video. So what this mod does is, once equipped, as you can see right here, this mod's secondary perk is active when at least one other arc mod is socketed into this armor. And that gives you plus 20 mobility. Okay, so I equipped it. Right now, you see that the plus 20 mobility, it shows that is not active, right? What you need to do is activate another arc mod. Let's say we wanted pulse rifle targeting, and since it's arc, we equip this, And then when you go back to the mod, you will see that now the plus 20 mobility is active. You don't need to do this on every armor piece separately. As long as you do this on one of them, it will activate the Powerful Friends mod on all the armor pieces, as long as you of course have it equipped on those armor pieces. If you have this mod on all of your legendary armor pieces, you can get a total of 80 mobility. Now I say 80 and not 100 because you cannot use seasonal mods on exotics. Now I'm gonna show you how this double 100 build turns into a beautiful triple 100 setup. We have our recovery and discipline maxed out, and as a hunter I also want max mobility, so I have the ability to dodge pretty much at all times, and in this case I'm even rocking 6 coyote, which gives me double dodge, which is just insane. Man, that is just something else. All I need to do now is go to my helmet right here and put on my Powerful Friends mod, 64 right here, and I'm just gonna do the same on my arms and on my class item. There you go. In my case, I only needed to equip the Powerful Friends mod on 3 legendary pieces, right? It was the helmet, gloves, and the class item. As you see, I do not have it equipped on my boots. That is because my armor pieces dropped with pretty good stats, and that gave me the ability to not use the Powerful Friends mod on the boots, which is perfect for me because now I can use a shotgun scavenger, I can use traction, but not for its increase of mobility. I really like using this for its tighter turn radius while sprinting. I find it really helpful. Okay, now I want to showcase some of the setups I have with triple 100 builds. I'm not gonna go over all of them because that would make this video insanely long. However, if you're interested, you will find them in the description. I'm gonna start with the sniper setup I use. It is extremely fun. As you see right here, I like to use Foe Tracer. I have it fully masterworked, of course, and I'm using enhanced sniper rifle targeting. Now, I like to combine this exotic with the middle tree Night Stalker, and the reason is when I'm crouching, if I get a headshot kill, I go invisible and I see through walls. However, if I miss my headshot, I can still track my enemies through walls with the help of Foe Tracer, which is just amazing, right? And then you have the gloves right here. This is a perfect example, right? If you look at the stats, it has 19 recovery and 34 discipline, which means that when it dropped, it only had 17 recovery and 22 discipline. That's pretty much it. There's no need to wait for these amazing god rolls, right? Now, my favorite setup right here, of course, is my Lemonarch setup, and it is absolutely amazing. I love this so much. It is so much fun. So when it comes to the helmet, we're using bow targeting. On the Oathkeepers, we're using enhanced small arms loader for those insanely quick sidearm reloads and a bow loader. By the way, I did get these Oathkeepers from the 1030 Master Nightfall, and just look at how beautiful those stats are. I was really lucky with the stats. This was exactly what I needed in order to make my Lemonarch setup work and get to triple hundreds. Then we have the chest piece with some awesome rolls, and on this one I'm just using a recovery mod and the Powerful Friends mod. Then we have the chest piece with some awesome rolls. We're running a recovery mod, unflinching shotgun aim, and of course the Powerful Friends mod. On my boots, I like to run shotgun scavenger. When I switch to my shotgun instead of my sidearm, I just need to have this right here, and then traction. So when you get to double 100 stats, if you own the Powerful Friends mod, as you can see, you can just slap it on there and get an easy stat of 80 mobility, and you get your triple 100 stats. I know this was a long one, you beautiful people, but I definitely wanted to cover everything. I hope I didn't miss anything, but if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. I will be more than happy to answer you guys. More and more beautiful content is on the way, so make sure to stay tuned. If you want to support the channel, a like and a sub is very appreciated, and it helps me out a lot. Thank you once again for all the support. I appreciate every single one of you, and as always, have a crazy beautiful day.